All right, let's talk about financial models. Have you ever opened up a spreadsheet and just felt completely lost, like you're staring at a giant wall of numbers with no idea where to even begin? Well, a great model, it's not really about just crunching numbers. It's about structure, it's about clarity. Honestly, you should think of it less like a spreadsheet and more like a beautifully designed building. It's intuitive, it's easy to navigate, and it's built to last. So today, we're going to walk through the blueprint for that building.
Okay, to really get this, let's look at a tale of two models. On the left, you've got the stuff of nightmares. You know the one. Numbers are plugged in everywhere, you can't tell what's an input from what's a formula, and trying to find a mistake, forget about it. It's a mess. But then, on the right, you have a thing of beauty. It's clear, it's logical, and pretty much anyone can pick it up and understand the story it's telling. Our job is to build the one on the right, every single time.
So, how do we actually do that? How do we build the masterpiece and not the mess? Well, it all starts with one fundamental, non-negotiable rule. This is the golden rule for any model architect, and it makes sure everything has its own proper place. And that principle is called ALOC. It's an acronym that stands for Assumptions, Logic, Outputs, and Controls. The whole idea here, the entire philosophy, is to keep these four things totally separate from each other. This one little principle is the secret weapon that prevents that chaotic spreadsheet we all dread. Let's quickly break down what ALOC actually means in practice. First up, assumptions. All your inputs, your guesses, your variables, they all live together in one spot. Then you've got logic. This is the calculation engine, the guts of your model, where all the formulas do their work. Third, outputs. These are your final results. You know, the polished financial statements. And last, but definitely not least, controls. These are the super important error checks that prove your model actually works. When you separate these, you create this clean, logical flow that's a breeze to follow and, crucially, to fix if something goes wrong. All right, with our golden rule in hand, let's start the tour of our perfectly designed model. And we're going to start right at the front door, in the impressive lobby.
And that lobby is the dashboard. Some people call it the executive summary. Its entire reason for being is to give a busy executive or a client the key takeaways without making them dig for it. I mean, at a single glance, they should be able to look at this one page and just get the high-level story. So what kind of stuff do you find in this lobby? Well, you've got your heavy hitters, key metrics like revenue and EBITDA, the bottom line valuation, and of course, clean charts that make the trends pop. And one of the coolest features, a scenario summary. This lets anyone flip between a base case, a best case, and a worst case scenario with just a single click. It's all about communication that's clean, visual, and makes an impact. Awesome. So we've seen the polished summary up front. Now let's head down to the basement, to the control room, the real engine that powers this whole building. This right here is the Assumptions tab, and I cannot stress this enough, it is so important. This should be the only place in the entire model where a user ever types in a number. Every single key driver, from growth rates to tax rates, it all lives right here. Doing this prevents the number one sin of bad modeling, hard-coding numbers deep inside your formulas where no one can find them. And here you'll find all those fundamental building blocks. You're answering questions like, how fast is revenue going to grow? What do we expect for operating costs? What are the terms on our debt? By putting all of this in one spot, you make the model incredibly flexible and transparent. You can change things on the fly without ever worrying about breaking the whole thing. Now, to get from our raw assumptions to those big financial statements, we need a bridge. And that bridge is our supporting schedules, or drivers. This is where all the really detailed calculations happen. Things like a depreciation schedule or a complex debt waterfall. They do all the heavy lifting for the model.
Okay, the engine is running smoothly. The bridge is built. Now let's go look at what it all produces. The main structural pillars of our model. This is what shows the actual financial health of the company.
And here they are, the three core financial statements. Now, remember our ALOC principle? These sheets should have nothing but formulas. Every single number you see here is being pulled automatically from our assumptions and our drivers. There are zero hard-coded inputs allowed here, period.
Now, what's really cool about this setup is that these three statements aren't just sitting there independently. No, they are fully integrated. They're talking to each other. Net income from the income statement, for example, flows right into the cash flow statement and the balance sheet. The final cash number from the cash flow statement, well, that becomes the new cash balance on the next period's balance sheet. It's a perfect interconnected loop.
So, we've built the main structure. Now it's time for the final two steps. Looking at the whole reason we built this thing in the first place, and then running the crucial final inspection to make sure it's all sound.
Often, the whole point of a model like this is to figure out what a company is worth. If that's the goal, you're going to have a dedicated valuation section. This is where you'd build out a discounted cash flow analysis, or DCF, which pulls all its information from the financial statements we just saw to come up with that final price tag.
But before we go showing that valuation to anyone, we have to visit what is, honestly, the most important sheet in the entire workbook. It's the Quality Control Sheet, or QC sheet. This page is all about one thing: building trust. It's a dedicated spot for all of our error checks that prove without a doubt that the model is working correctly.
And the number one king of all checks is the balance sheet check. It's based on the fundamental accounting equation, and it has to be true for every single time period in your model. If your assets minus your liabilities and equity doesn't equal exactly zero, then something somewhere is broken. This check is completely non-negotiable. It's the ultimate test of your model's integrity.
And all that work leads to this beautiful, simple, powerful visual cue. A little green light, a check mark, a simple Model OK message right on your dashboard. This one little signal tells any user instantly that the core mechanics are working and that the numbers are trustworthy. It's an incredibly powerful way to build confidence.
And finally, let's talk about the finishing touches. If the QC sheet is making sure our building is structurally sound, think of these as the interior design. This is what makes the building a pleasure to be in. Consistent color coding, like always using blue for inputs and black for formulas, is like a universal language. Clear tab names and good labels are the signs on the wall. It's all about making the model intuitive and, dare I say, a pleasant place to work.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Building a great financial model, it is so much more than just being good at Excel. It's really an art form. It's about a deep commitment to clarity, to structure, and to the person who has to use it. A great model doesn't just spit out an answer. It builds trust, and it inspires real confidence in that answer.
And that leaves us with one last thought. The next time you open a model, ask yourself, is this a confusing maze that only one person in the world can navigate? Or is it a powerful, intuitive guide that actually helps people make better, smarter decisions? The choice, as they say, is yours. Thanks for tuning in to this explainer.